Get everything you need for your holiday meal at Whole Foods Market. Right now, you'll find animal welfare certified rib roast on sale. It's a deliciously crowd-pleasing centerpiece. Plus, save on spiral sliced ham, bone-in lamb, and seasonal produce like sweet potatoes and Honeycrisp apples. For ready-to-eat sides, head to the prepared food section. Done. And remember that Whole Foods Market caters. Order gourmet catering at shop.wfm.com. Bring the holiday magic with Whole Foods Market.
This episode is brought to you by Seed. Seed's DSO1 is a 2-in-1 probiotic and prebiotic designed for whole body health. Formulated with 24 clinically and scientifically studied strains, DSO1 offers benefits in and beyond the gut. See why DSO1 is the probiotic recommended by top doctors and nutritionists. Go to seed.com/Spotify for 25% off Seed's DSO1 Daily Synbiotic.
Welcome to the Inside the Boards podcast, the podcast dedicated to helping you learn to think like a question writer so you can study smarter, not harder, and succeed in medical school. And now here's your host, Patrick Beeman.
This episode is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial by going to InsideTheBoards.com/audible so you can listen to the books that you don't have time to read while you're in medical school. In part one of this two-part episode, we first discuss the redemptive suffering involved in preparing for the boards as a medical student, and also provide a little roast of Conrad Fischer, which you'll find entertaining, I'm sure. And then in part two, Dr. Fischer prepared a Get Current in Drug Therapies, which runs about a half an hour. So in a half an hour or less, you can get current in drug developments over the past 2 years with some random applications as to how this can help you on your exams. So stay tuned for that. I'll post it in a few days here as a standalone bonus podcast in conjunction with this particular series. If you, like usual, leave a podcast review on iTunes or your favorite podcast listening service and send the screenshot to podcast@InsideTheBoards.com, you will be entered to win 1 month access to one of Conrad's medQuest products, like the Step 2 QBank. And now, my interview with Conrad Fischer. Welcome to the Inside the Boards podcast. I'm Patrick Beeman. I am very excited to have the one and only Conrad Fischer on the podcast today. Dr. Fischer is an award-winning medical educator. He is the author of numerous USMLE test preparation guides. You probably know him from the popular Master the Boards series or the medQuest board review platform. He is an excellent lecturer, a vexing lecturer according to some people. I'll get to that later. And has produced content for Kaplan and apparently has his hands in about 25 other interesting endeavors. So, Conrad, thank you so much for all the rescheduling and finally for us having the opportunity to connect.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
All right. So, before we get into any sort of board-related stuff, right, I want to know who the real Conrad Fischer is. These are some things that I found when I Googled your name. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I thought they were hilarious. Here's from one, a subreddit that says, Conrad Fischer. He's actually tolerable in person. Oh, that's nice. His vids make me want to rage quit my life, though. I have no idea what that means. And here's one more little roast. When I'm listening to him with headphones, I have to constantly change the volume. He screams and whispers all the time. I'm convinced he's trying to trigger latent seizure disorders in us. So, who is Conrad Fischer, and why are people saying this about you?
Well, we can't learn anything if we're not awake.
Yeah.
So the first thing is to hold your attention.
Man. See, you tricked me.
I tricked you. I'm a clever fellow. So that's the first part of it. The other thing is that people can get a book and read it on their own. When people are coming to live or looking at videos, it's because there's that subset of the population that they want to have an experience of having a teacher. They want to see somebody acting out in their life the use of the medicine. For instance, my last patient scene is like yours in the last 90 minutes. So I am a fully functional clinical doctor, and I saw 20 patients today in the hospital, so about 30 or 40% of my time is clinical. And then it's the books. I'm also the residency director. But even within the residency, people want to know that they feel taken care of. So one thing is to be able to have information. You can get that anywhere. But the other is people also see a reflection of the goodness of their own aspirations. So I think that people see, to the pure, all things are pure. To the impure, nothing is pure. So for some people, they will see a reflection of their own sense of calling.
Yeah.
That's the real me.
That's the real you. But you left out a lot there, too. When it comes to your career in medicine, so you said you spend 30 to 40% of your time clinically. Right. Then the rest of it's admixed with some residency program directing responsibilities and right. Your MedQuest, other books, review type stuff.
And I'm also physiology course director for Touro College of Medicine. So I'm responsible for the largest part of the first year curriculum at Touro College of Medicine. So I'll have a physiology Q bank out probably beginning of next year. I've been dilly-dallying along with it. So, and I'm responsible for half the second year curriculum, what they call a clinical systems course there too, the content. I'm the editor-in-chief of that. My main role is actually residency program director.
Okay. And how many residents do you guys have?
93.
93. Wow, that's a huge residency class. Well, okay, what were boards like when you took them? Because you're like 30, 35.
Yes, I took them in 1935. Well, you see, all boards are 96% of people say that they have test-taking anxiety. 96%. 2% are lying, 1% is bipolar, and 1% is schizophrenic. So basically, 96% are telling the truth, and the other people are lying or crazy. So the thing is that everybody's scared of boards. I remember distinctly how painful it was to study for step 1 and take 2 or 4 weeks to break my and be concerned about, like, am I going to pass, what grade, and anxiety provoking like that. For the international graduates, they have to have the same experience for step 2. U.S. grads don't have it as much.
Sure.
But there are going to be people who are going to be anxious about all those tests. So no one can not worry by somebody telling them, don't worry. Worry is the state of our existence. All I can tell you is, 1, you can't avoid suffering in this life. You're going to suffer. What you can do is have your suffering be useful suffering. And what that means is the suffering that we undergo when we're preparing for our boards is voluntary suffering. It's suffering that is requested and freely accepted. And it's useful because after the process, we're more intelligent, we're more knowledgeable, more useful. It is the difference between a raw potato and a cooked potato. Is not a cooked potato more intelligent and beautiful than a raw potato? So we are in the process of becoming something beautiful and useful. Now, 16% of the population in the United States has major depression at some time. They're suffering, but a year from now, they're not going to be better, stronger, higher, faster, as the Olympic mottos. They're going to be the same, just suffering. So I say to you, suffer more, but have it be useful suffering, and it doesn't last forever. So yes, I and every other faculty member that ever went through the boards suffers too.
I think that's interesting. It kind of harks back to the concept of a sort of redemptive aspect of suffering.
Absolutely.
What resources did you use when you were studying for boards back in 1935? I took step 1 in 30 years ago this year. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I guess.
I recently went back to my medical school for a reunion. If people sort of go through the retrospectoscope of saying, oh, it was all wonderful, I went back there and I said, hanging out here, being a second-year medical student, prepping for step 1 was terrible.
Agreed.
Pain.
Yes.
Like Mr. T. Champ, what's your prediction for tonight's fight? He goes, pain. Pain. So the answer to that is that at that time, I used what would be now called the NMS books, the National Medical School.
Okay.
The National Medical School review books at the time in preparation. And then I think actually review books have evolved, interestingly enough. Review books have taken over. They used to be considered review books. Now review books and Q banks have become primary learning.
Right. Agreed.
Not review books, they're primary learning.
Get everything you need for your holiday meal at Whole Foods Market. Right now, you'll find animal welfare certified rib roast on sale. It's a deliciously crowd-pleasing centerpiece. Plus, save on spiral sliced ham, bone-in lamb, and seasonal produce like sweet potatoes and Honeycrisp apples. For ready-to-eat sides, head to the prepared food section. Done. And remember that Whole Foods Market caters. Order gourmet catering at shop.wfm.com. Bring the holiday magic with Whole Foods Market.
This episode is brought to you by the Weather Channel app. Did you know the app can help you forecast more than just the weather? With allergy tracking and flu risk mapping. So you know when to stay inside and load up on podcast. As well as air quality and UV indexing. So you know when to get outside, load up on sunscreen and podcast. Forecast more of what you love with the Weather Channel app.
In your medical school career in particular, any test-taking failures?
What's that word you use?
Any test-taking failures ever?
That word, that last word?
Failures. I shouldn't have said it. Any test-taking speed bumps, roadblocks?
I only have marriage failures, but I'm a very good deal. Each wife comes with 2 kids, a condo, and lifelong cell phone service. But the key, my boy, is that I moved 5 blocks down. So my first wife and the other kids only live 5 blocks from me here. The proximity control.
That is awesome, actually. I envy you. I just realized I want to be Conrad Fischer, which is weird.
Well, I'll tell you what. Later on, I'm going to sell timeshares in myself, okay? I can be your avatar. The thing about the failure issue is that I would say there's the experience of, for instance, I was suspended from my internship for insubordination. That's a type of failure. You know, I was always, the resident would say, check that CBC. Why? Well, because I want to document it. Why? Well, I want to follow up. Yeah, but it's been normal for 4 days in a row. Why do we have to do that? You know, because I'm telling you to, Fisher. Well, in that case, get it yourself. And I would be suspended for insubordination. The following year, I was made chief resident. I said, I thought I was suspended. I thought I was insubordinate. They go, that was last year. Now it's leadership. So I would say that is a true story, and that is a type of failure. Okay, so it's not failure so much on boards. What other failure? I didn't get into medical school till the very last minute. I got into medical school in the United States the day before classes started. Yes, I was desperate, so I left the country and I moved to Poland. Was desperate. I knew I had a calling, and I didn't think I was getting into medical school. And then the last minute, I got into 2.
Wait, were you going to go to Lublin or somewhere in Poland, or?
What's it? Krakow, the Jagiellonian.
Oh, okay. That's where John Paul II studied.
Quite right. The former
Karol Wojtyła.
Karol Wojtyła.
You're making me realize I know a lot of trivia about where people did their academic history.
No, I think it's because it's important to you, Patrick.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's your experience, a connection. Okay, he's a great pope. He was a great pope, John Paul.
He was.
Do you know he was 2 years in a concentration camp?
Yes.
You are a real, what they call, papophile.
I am, actually. So I'd like to move into talking a little bit about Master the Boards and medQuest and essentially the Conrad Fischer brand. So how did Master the Boards come about?
Because I was wanting to make more stuff than Kaplan had the capacity to do. The other thing is that Kaplan is a publisher, but they're a big, huge corporation. They can't be indulging Conrad's need for boutique items. You know, I wanted to make a lot of things. I wanted to make a course on physical findings, which is called Get Physical.
That's an excellent name.
Yes, exactly. It's like the Olivia Newton-John, sort of review course there. And I want to make an OMM course for the osteopathic students. And so Kaplan has to do big things. They can't just run like a small boutique item. So I would say the relationship I have with that now is perfect. My big items, like the Master of the Boards 2 and 3 books, are with Kaplan as my publisher. Smaller books are with McGraw. I have them on for step 3 of CCS with McGraw, CCS books in medicine, peds, surgery, and OBGYN for McGraw-Hill. And then with MedQuest, I do it more whimsically. So I would call it's more like an artist's collective. We take people who want to make things that we think are useful, and we make them. They're of very high quality, and I don't have to worry as much about, I don't have to hit a home run with every one of them.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I just came out with, though, that was very important to me is I just spent a very long time writing a step 2 QBank with 2,100 questions. It is pretty much the closest thing there is to a single author QBank. There's nobody else writing the questions, and then I edit them down. It is me. I wrote 1,200 of the questions personally, and then 200 peds, 200 psych, 200 OB were written by other people in those areas. But even stylistically, they have to conform to my standards on things.
So you serve somewhat as an editor, at least?
100%, because at the end of the day, it's like the books. Even the peds, OB, and surgery and psych sections have to be stylistically synthetic. So passing that QBank out was like having a 10-pound baby. It's like I needed an intellectual episiotomy like you couldn't believe.
Wow, that is a very vivid, and I'm an OB, a vivid metaphor.
But what's doing with making MedQuest is just like that. I want to be able to come out with things as they come produced out of my mind. Like Athena coming out of the head of Zeus. There are these things that just are on my mind I have to get out. And so the same way, if an artist is a real artist, he has to draw or paint or sculpt almost every day. I create something in medical educational content 5 to 7 days a week.
Okay, so you talked about this level 2 or step 2 QBank. I'm sure it could be used for level 2 of the COMLEX as well.
Yes.
Who should use that? Is it just people studying like their last 2 to 4 weeks for their step 2 exam?
The step 2 QBank can be used for shelf.
Okay.
The step 2 QBank could be used for step 3. I'm not going to come out with a step 3 QBank anytime soon. It took too long to write this. I think that people can use it as they're preparing through the third year of medical school for anything. Also, the way the questions are written, it's like if you went through cardiology, you would see a question on congestive failure presentation, physical findings, testing, treatment. Coronary disease, presentation, physical findings, treatment, testing. So it basically is not a cherry picking of questions. It is covering every single thing in that area so that if you go through the questions, you can say, can I be certain that I've seen a question on every RTA, on every piece of the nephron? Yes.
So you've got the level 2. What is the most popular thing that MedQuest does?
The step 3 videos. It's paired with the Master of the Boards book. And the step 3 videos for sure were the biggest thing. And they were the first thing we've done. I also think that a lot of people yet know that I put up step 2 videos a few months ago. So that's brand new. Basically, I don't have the time and the ability to go around and do my live class like where I'm writing on the board as I've done for 25 years. I don't have the time to do that anymore. Okay, so in other words, being the residency director, but I wanted to get it out there. So I do live step 2 class twice a year now.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to put my whole step 2 live class on video. That went up a couple months ago. But the biggest thing that we have is the step 3 video because people want to have a book, a class, and a QBank. A book, a class, a QBank. So you want a primary learning, a form of review, and then a way to assess, did you actually learn it?
Yep. I think those are 3 very essential portions or parts to learning any portion of medicine. So
right.
Is that step 3 video lecture series and its related content? Is that what you're most proud of as far as what you've produced for MedQuest? or anything in medical education?
I would say, proud of. That's an interesting frame of it because, the thing is, I really am proud of I don't want to sound cutesy like this, but I'm really proud of all of them because they were, it's like I never stopped loving any of the people I used to be in love with. I just may not be right now. So I'm proud of all of them in the same sense that they were okay for the time.
All right, Dr. Fischer, but let's say you're the patient, all right? This is a review of systems. You can't just say yes to all of them. You have to choose one. Which thing did you, how about enjoy working the most on?
The step 2 videos, because it's the guts of it is my identity at the board of what would be a live interactive class, constructing it and synthesizing it at a whiteboard with markers where you watch the process of creation.
I like whiteboard and I like markers. So are you not a fan, just curious, of PowerPoint?
PowerPoint is what you do if people are really nervous and they want to go line by line. I think that it's more for synthesis of knowledge that a whiteboard and markers is the best for putting it together in your brain. Mm-hmm. It's like why we have to have children instead of just having a bunch of ready-made adults. It is the process of creation that makes it our own.
Often people who use that form of lecture style tend to be more interesting as lecturers, and more nowadays the minority of educators, I think, who don't employ things like Prezi or PowerPoint. I definitely would rather hear a lecture from somebody who can distill content with a marker and a whiteboard than has all these fancy video animations and things of that nature. Conceptually, it helps. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Patrick. Nice to meet you.
You too, sir. Have a good day.
Peace.
Bye. Thanks to James from 2 O'Clock Courage for letting us use an excerpt from the Valentine Blast Furnace off the 2016 album Missalette. 2 O'Clock Courage is the best band you've never heard of. You can listen to their music on Spotify and follow them on Twitter at 2 O'Clock Courage. That's at the number 2 O'Clock Courage. Thanks, guys, for letting us use the song. We really appreciate it.
Inside the Boards is in no way affiliated with the United States Medical Licensing Examination, Comprehensive Osteopathic Medical License Examination, National Board of Medical Examiners, the National Council of State Boards of Nursing, National Board of Osteopathic Medical Examiners, or any other licensing or examination body. All exam names and other trademarks are the property of the respective trademark owners. Content discussed during the program is the property of Inside the Boards or the attributed trademark owner and may not be reproduced without permission from the appropriate entity. Inside the Boards fully adheres to the respective policies on irregular behavior outlined by the aforementioned credentialing bodies.